Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Prime 4 podcast. My name is Bryce.
Chris.
Ross.
Alex.
And we're coming to you a full week after our previous podcast episode where we talked about George Floyd. So let's continue with that discussion.
Right. Now that
I
I'm
had
part of this discussion, before anybody else says anything, I would like to shout out to our listener for sticking with us throughout the episode. It's very dope hearing, very close friends of mine that I consider family speaking on issues that, I wouldn't normally, be like, oh, these guys know that much about these issues, me being me and living in the areas that I lived. And I was proven wrong last week in a very awesome way. So I appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem, man. Well, okay. Well, hold on. Save your praise because I was going to get into it this episode.
Oh, geez.
That's why I did it before we even got into anything.
It's what is it? Last week we recorded May 29th. Yep, new month, new me. This is racist Bryce now. Month of June, I'm racist. I get 1 month a year, so just let it all out.
Yes, February.
Yeah, I have never heard this is the week of white people crying on podcasts. I must have heard no, that was disingenuous. It wasn't just white people crying on the podcast that I stumbled upon. But I listened to like 3 podcasts where it's just a bunch of people apologizing for not noticing black issues or something. And it was the dumbest shit I've ever seen. And the hypocrisy, I mean we're hypocrites about it too. Like we talked about it. It's like having a George Floyd episode but not a Breonna Taylor episode is fucking stupid to begin with. Oh my god, I can't pronounce his name. The man who died in Georgia. Does anybody remember his name?
Ahmaud Arbery.
Ahmaud Arbery, yes. That's who I'm thinking of. And not having an episode for Ahmaud is fucking stupid bullshit too. But it's like, what do you want us to do?
I think it's one of those things where, like, I think we've had discussions in the past where we'll have like an episode where something like this happens, and then like not very long after something else will happen. And it's like, are we going to become a podcast of that? I guess.
Well, and then too, it's like a lot of the times that we had in-depth discussions on, our viewpoints on the situation, our experiences with the situation, it like ultimately has to get cut because, I don't think people are really they're tiptoeing around the idea of having the conversation of racial inequality and gender inequality and all of that shit. But it's like, I don't think it's really to the point where people are ready to have a very frank, open and honest conversation about how they feel about it openly.
Oh, I know we're not. This country is not.
Mm-hmm.
No, and I talked about this last episode before we even got into it, and it's okay. You can call us fucking hypocrites because, technically we are. But like I said last episode, we're trying not to be that podcast where we talk about this stuff all the time, like politics, because obviously this has to do with politics now, and racial injustices. We don't want to be the SJW podcasts every week, but we live in Minnesota. This is Minnesota.
Right.
And this happened in Minnesota, like an hour away from us in the cities where we frequent. The racist cousin lives in the cities.
Oh, yeah.
So we were getting a play-by-play from him and, making sure he's okay and stuff. I didn't actually care if he was okay or not, but that's just something.
Isn't he with child? Is he and his child?
Well, no, the child's already out.
What?
The child's been born.
Yeah.
You said, is he with child?
I didn't mean pregnant, obviously. Doesn't he have kids?
Yeah, he has a kid.
Okay, he has a kid. Hopefully, racist cousin, that's funny. Hopefully y'all are safe, but that is hilarious that you call him racist cousin. I feel like I have to call him racist cousin, even though I know otherwise.
No, you don't, dude. No, you don't. That was, oh my god. Yeah, you've met him before too.
Yeah, we cooled out.
Yeah, we went to karaoke for my birthday one of those years.
Fuck yeah, that shit was fun as fuck too.
Yeah, okay, but back to this. Like the hypocrisy, listening to podcasts of people crying because every person tried to fucking squeeze out as many tears as they could during those podcasts. And a lot of them are companies, and they're like, we got to be better companies. We got to hire more minorities. It's like this is going to be a time of minority hires. And how Chris, as a black man, how do you feel, or would you feel about having got a job just because of the color of your skin? They won't tell you, but if you found out.
This is me speaking for me, not speaking for the African American community. I would like to preface with that. But me as an individual, I would really like the opportunity to get a job on my own merits. And I would also, I mean, what do I honestly mean by my own merits? Not necessarily my degrees or, all of that stuff, but that package with my personality and all of that shit. I would really like to get a job because it feels more stable, because we've seen, in human history, not even just American history, we've seen in American history, it's kind of like your ups and downs with supporting minority communities. And I'm wondering how long, if this is just a phase, how long is this going to be a phase, and are we going to go back to treating people like shit again because they are not fitting in this particular box that we quote unquote consider normal? So that was a long way of saying I would rather have a job for me based on my own merits, not the color of my skin.
Exactly. So when you hear about every fucking company coming out, because as soon as one company, as soon as Starbucks says Black Lives Matter on Twitter, every single company's got to follow suit, right? And then the week is just every single company blatantly saying we're going to hire more minorities. And it's like, is that going to be by their merit, or are you going to just have, the minority hires?
Well, and the thing, the important question aside from that is it going to be sustainable? Because even if you hire somebody because of the color of their skin and they get into a job and they're quick learners and it's something that they can pick up on and actually be talented at, is it going to be sustainable? And that's what my question is. These companies that, are inadvertently committing or outright committing to hiring more minorities, yeah, more power to you. That's awesome. Maybe you'll look for talent in areas where you haven't before. But how are you going to keep them employed? Business plans going forward. What type of neighborhoods, what type of outreach are you doing? Because I've been part of that for a bigger company, HR wise. I've been part of that process and trying to figure out which job fairs to go to, and which booths to put where at which events, and things like that. So it's like, how is that sustainable? I want that answer with the answer of, yeah, we can, hire all day whoever you want to, black, white, purple, green, but I want to hear about how you're going to make this sustainable going forward.
Right. It's people are talking about it, but they got to be about it.
For sure.
And the plan is always riot. Specifically, proponent, still proponent. I was planning on going to, because I had a coworker talk about it, how they wanted to go to the cities this weekend to protest, and I got the go ahead, and I might do that. I don't know what the situation is right now. Unfortunately, I do have a full-time job, so my protesting can't be anything drastic or round the clock. St. Cloud, that one day where I went, that was the only day like that I saw of protesters. Like, I don't know where they're at. Maybe they're still at like the county hall or something, or the town hall downtown, but I didn't see anything or heard any hubbub about it. So that died down here, but I hope in the cities it's still going strong. Might check that out if it's still happening, or maybe just go down there and hold up the sign myself for a little bit. We'll see. I got to make a sign still. Forgot about that. Just reminded myself.
The thing is about the cities, and I really mean this deep down. If you are in the cities and you are rioting, if you are in the cities and you are protesting, if you are in the cities and you are not protesting, stay safe. I mean, I keep hearing and seeing the narrative that was super bullshit from we get political, super bullshit from our president saying, you loot, we shoot. And it's like, you are taking inanimate objects and valuing them more than people's lives because you feel like someone has stolen something that is irreplaceable to you, when in fact life is irreplaceable. So I think that narrative is bullshit.
Oh yeah, once they're fine sending hundreds of thousands of people to go die in other countries, but then as soon as the brick and mortar shops get attacked, your lives mean nothing. We figure out that your lives really do mean nothing to them.
Well, right, and it's like both people fighting against each other are not the main people that should be at ground zero. Like, if you are a Target CEO and you have problems with Targets getting broken into, this, that, and the third, you take your happy ass down there and you do something about it. Don't send your employees that may or may not be part of the community that feels marginalized right now to go fight for you.
Well, they lock up the product.
What do you mean, government that gives us tax breaks and all this money? They want them to save them, even though like they already make multi-billion-dollar industries. A lot of these big companies.
Right, and then push the narrative that welfare is killing our country. What?
You got to make the reason rioting is so successful is because, like you've noticed, when they hit the money, the people in power care, because that's money is power. That's how the world works right now.
Well, yeah.
And the reason
bottom line gets hurt. What?
Yeah, and they open up the country for coronavirus because they're fucking stupid. Some states are still trying their damnedest, like Minnesota is still trying. Despite the protests, we have a decent stay-at-home policy, social distancing, all that stuff. But the people in power, they're willing to sacrifice the non-working class that can't help their bottom line. They're willing to sacrifice that to keep the bottom line the status quo and moving.
Right.
That's the goal, because it's just targeting generally older people. Even though it can kill younger people, it's just statistically more probable to kill older people, and that's the non-working class, and they don't give a shit about that. Yeah, that's another issue being imprisoned by low-wage jobs and stuff. But for this to matter, for this movement to matter, you have to make racism not affordable to the rich. If you hit the money hard and fast, you have to make racism not sustainable. And that's the goal, because the rich people who pay for the laws, pay for the politicians, they're not going to like Target and Walmart's being burnt to the ground everywhere across country. That costs money. So what does that do for lobbying?
I guess my whole thought was they were boycotting Target anyways because of the whole bathroom thing, right? Why are they so mad about it?
Right. True.
Yeah, I'm just saying, riot. I mean, that's what I'm saying. Proponent of it. Trump's got golf courses. They're probably open right now. Take a dump on that green. Like, I don't live near one, unfortunately. Trump Towers, picket them and make it difficult for people to go in and out.
They were outside of there a few days ago. I don't know if they still are.
Keep doing it, and just Make it not affordable. Piss them off. Because if the rich get pissed off, you know you're doing it right. And that's...
Oh yeah, they're starting to weave this whole narrative about like the whole thing being like a cult or something on Fox News, and I was just laughing my ass off.
Yeah.
Well, and then we also live in a country that is working on declaring a group, and I'm not defending them at all because I don't know enough about them to defend or discredit them, but you got a country that'll put Antifa on the terrorist list before they'll put the KKK on the terrorist list.
Pretty
That's
much.
Or
just
these
Trump.
neo-Nazis on a terrorist list.
Trump is just saying they're on a terrorist list. The FBI has to put them on a terrorist list.
I understand, but like,
And they're saying it might not even be constitutional.
Well, I'm just
yeah,
saying, like,
you
to
just
even
can't
make that kind of statement without, like, there are other groups that are more dangerous, that have been dangerous historically,
Like the Proud
and this is
Boys.
a new thing.
Yeah, like the KKK and Proud Boys and
the New York police, like some
Blackwater.
They like fucking tipped off the Proud Boys that they were going to be using gas so that they wouldn't show up.
Yeah, I saw that. That was funny. And the cops like, we don't want people to think we're biased. And he was recording. It's like, well, listen here. It's all coming out. But let me. This is okay. Racist Bryce, June 2020 coming out. Because you can't say this shit without being considered racist, especially during this time. So let's talk about this.
Okay.
Because I know we talked about this in the group chat. There's people going around right now. I'm not saying who, but there's people going around right now on the internet and in the protesting videos and stuff of kill all white people, and people talking like white people don't give a shit or shouldn't give a shit and to stay away essentially, and white people are evil and shit.
Man, where are you getting your shit from? Like
Understandable.
Reddit or something?
Understandable how you may feel that way when you're angry, but let's just put this into perspective, because this is not something that a lot of people know. So cover your ears if you're sensitive, or open them if you want some knowledge. More white people are killed by cops, armed and unarmed, every year than any other ethnicity. Now, what I said, I did not say that a minority death from a police officer does not matter.
And you didn't say per capita either, so.
And I did not say per capita, because that is another argument to have. And that's disproportionate populations is what I'm talking about. More likely being a minority and being killed by a police rather than the base numbers.
And it didn't talk about like nonviolent crimes having deaths like associated with them either.
But let's talk about this. This is armed and unarmed. But people are acting like a white person should not have a horse in this race when we absolutely
it's about class.
And it's absolutely, and the statistics show that there are bad cops everywhere, and they don't give a fuck about what color you are. They kill you armed or unarmed despite color, and it is filmed and it is recorded for all ethnicities occasionally, and there's only minorities you hear about on the news. So every single black man or minority that is killed by a police officer, you can be shown a local news story of a white man being killed by police officers. And people don't understand that because it's not put on a platter and it's not national news. Because white people honestly really don't give a shit about other white people, if you want to be honest.
We don't give a shit about anybody. That's our problem.
That too.
The thing is, all right, so to not necessarily reply to that, but share my views on that type of statement, that type of leading statement or questions or anything else. I don't think me as an individual, again, I'm not a race representative. I don't think
I am.
that he's like, I'll take that also. I
I'll
don't
take it.
think that it is any less important when it comes to color of the skin. However, it is the tip of an iceberg. If you can see how we are getting killed by police officers as African Americans, you can see further than that and look into redlining. You can look into the gaps between earnings of different races. You can, look at oppression for what it actually is. And I think it's a caveat to start a conversation. I'm not trying to say that if you are white, you get off easily with the police, or you didn't have to work hard to get to where you are in life today. I'm saying because we are African American, we have a lot of inequalities that we have not addressed as a country that we need to address. If it's police brutality that leads us into the situation of inequality, definitely. If it's the underlying story of America where Black women are being taken and going missing, if that is the starting point of our conversation as a country, I don't care where it starts. I just want to know that everybody's included in the conversation. Everybody's experiences are valid and need to be held as such. And we are going to have to step outside a comfort zone as a country, as individuals, as a bipartisan democracy, or whatever. We're going to have to step outside our country comfort zones to hear other people and speak to other people.
Right. And what I said also, I did not imply that there is no racism involved in any killing of a minority by police, of course.
For
That's
sure.
always a possibility. But I just want more people to understand that everybody has a horse in this race, and that if this is the last, the domino that makes it all crash down, everybody should get on that and ride that wave to see change. You should want everybody of all backgrounds to ride this wave to see it through, to see actual change in the corruption that we have.
Also, yeah, I agree with that wholeheartedly. And I also think that people that have that sort of dialogue, that sort of rhetoric about, fuck white people or fuck interracial couples, and I've seen that shit, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
The thing is they're forgetting that it's important to have allies as well. And I started to learn that myself with the LGBTQ plus ally community as well. I don't particularly belong to that community. People that I know and love do belong to that community, and their issues affect me because they affect them. So even though I am not any of those things, I understand how important it is to make sure that they're seen, make sure that they're heard, make sure that I'm seeing and hearing the information, because I like to fully understand situations. And it's the same thing with racism. It's like you say for years and years, nobody's ever talking about this. It's the elephant in the room. Nobody's ever talking about this. And the second that you have a platform, the last thing you want to do is exclude people that are agreeing with you.
Yep.
Yep, and we have a lot that we have to deal with, and I hope that we work somewhere with this. And it's really stupid that there has to be a domino that crashes, because in the end, no one gives a shit until it affects them.
Oh yeah.
Mhm.
Isn't it funny? Isn't it funny that the candidate that was talking about inequalities and that it's us and not, just me, that candidate is the one that didn't get chosen?
Consistently
what?
did not get chosen.
I'm talking about Bernie.
Yeah, I mean,
I don't think people want to have that conversation.
That's what I'm
People,
saying.
and it's like I understand why, and especially, I mean, our conversations on the show and off the show in respects to policies and where we stand politically and this, that, and a third. Like, I really think that change scares the shit out of both sides. It's like trying to figure out how the status quo can edge and my way 2 or 3 inches, but predominantly stay going the same way. And that shit is frustrating.
yeah, the goal is not to use the teeter-tottering balance like a fucking League of Legends fucking balance patch. It can't just go back and forth all the time. The goal is equality, but everybody has to make sacrifices to get there, and not everybody is capable of that. That's every side.
Right.
I'm not just talking about the whites. Talking about
Well,
everybody. Everybody's got to make
the thing is,
sacrifices.
okay, and you can cut this if this is inappropriate. I want to ask you, gentlemen, as white men from
Who represent all white people? Yes.
no, just as individuals.
No, I
as
do.
individuals, right?
They don't. I do.
So why does it feel like when someone has a conversation with a white male or female for that matter, whatever, that it feels like if I'm saying something is unequal or definitely biased because of race, gender, whatever, that person hops on the defense? Does it does that make any sense?
Because they already understand that they're like the majority, so they take like they're being attacked.
Yeah, but why is that?
So okay, so reword what you asked, because I didn't understand.
So when an African American male like myself, for example,
Yeah.
chooses to share a situation with a white male or female about racial inequality, why does it feel like the white person in that situation hops on the defensive more times than not?
So you bring a conversation to, like, let's say you're asking me about an event or conversation, and then I would get defensive.
Right. Like,
Okay.
this will be an example of a conversation. Yo, I had a really shitty time when I got pulled over. I mean, I understand that, this was expired or whatever, but I don't think the officer had to take it to that extent. And I feel as though this happened because I'm black. The
Okay.
white person in that conversation says, well, were you in the right place in the right time, and you got to make sure that it's like,
Yeah,
why
was
does
he
it?
having a bad day? Does he normally do
Right.
that to everybody? That kind of shit.
Yeah.
I mean, because that's white guilt, I think, is what you're getting to, which is something I don't feel. I ain't guilty. I speak for all whites, and let me tell you, there's no guilt here. Um, uh, it's if because when you talk when you end up lumping everything about race, which we had a conversation, an incident where I had a card pulled because because I made because we were talking about debt collections, and I said something that could be interpreted as racist. I absolutely, and I had a card pulled on me, and I was like, you know what, you're right. I mean, yeah, absolutely. I mean, it could be interpreted as that because I lumped it in as a statistic of a color, essentially. Just like saying, like, when you say this, a white officer did this, and I feel bad. I think he did this because I was black. That's like, it just white guilt. It just feels like it's a situation that you are talking about all white people. And just
Okay.
like when we say something about a black person or a minority, and they take it, or whoever takes it, however they take it, will interpret that as someone being racist or talking about everybody as a whole.
Okay.
like a minority as a whole.
So
Like,
that kind of follows the narrative that I was at a diversity conference and they were talking about the conversation in line with what we're having right now. It's like they were saying the race conversation is so difficult because white people are too guilty to have the conversation and black people are too angry to have the conversation and nothing gets done. And that's why I think this is a very important moment as a country that we're going through right now to see like, hey, I had fucking Republicans on my page saying, wow, that was wrong. And I'm like, this is insane. We're actually standing together in this, and then, you start to come with the race issues. And then, it's like we start to go back into our shells. And I'm like, no, 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 no. Like we still have talking to do.
yeah, it seems like, well, when dealing with race, as a white person who doesn't feel guilt and as talks for all white people, there's a lot of tiptoeing to have these conversations, because you can't, like right now, like how I brought up, more white people are killed by police.
Mhm.
That's a fact. That's just a statistic. That's not me saying, that's not taking anything away that race isn't involved in minority killing, like I said earlier, or anything like that. That's a statistic. But we have to talk about that statistic. Let's talk about why that's happening. Let's talk about, population densities and well, let's not get all into that. But it's a two-way conversation that has to happen, of course.
Right.
Because both sides have to understand each other, but neither side wants to offend each other, depending on the person, of course.
For sure.
There's a lot of tiptoeing, so not real things can be said.
Yeah.
And that means the conversation is someone's always holding back, except for me. I don't hold back. Fuck you.
That is not why he is family.
but yeah, I think that's it. That's probably it. It's just a lot of tiptoeing, and nobody really wants to speak their mind about these situations. It's difficult. It's a very complicated situation that four guys on a podcast cannot solve.
I
We
get it,
need
but
a
at
lot
the
of
same
people.
time, like how like how I could come from my background and my upbringing, and you guys come from your individuals and upcomings and shit like that, and it's like to not even have had this conversation and stand on the same ground when it comes to a lot of shit that we have in our lives. I mean, the fucking music we listen to, the movies we watch, political conversations that we've had with each other. And it's like, I think that really removes the fear from that situation. And I want to motivate more people to do that. But it's like, it's almost like people are tense because they don't want to be labeled and they don't want to label anybody else. But you kind of have to do that to keep safe. Like you don't have to say, well, I don't know if all stoves are hot. I don't want to put my hand on this stove and get burnt every fucking time. Like I understand the duality of that moment, but it's like people have to really, really stop being afraid of having these conversations because I mean, yeah, you might get punched in the mouth someday. You might actually get hurt out the next day, but I could guarantee you once you're hurt out, that punch in the mouth is worth it.
Right. And it would be nice if, more people had that conversation, but it's like the people in power aren't capable of it. So we can't get anything done because they're not capable of it. Especially when right now, the Republicans, they're all about having white people in power. And it's like they control the Senate. One guy's the president and his cronies, it's like, well, we can't have that conversation now because we know where you stand.
Right.
That's why this rioting needs to take place. If you can't talk to that wall, you need to burn it down.
Yeah.
That because that wall's in the way of progress. And it's fucking 2020 and we can't have those walls in the way of progress.
Oh, hindsight is 2020.
Right?
Yeah.
That'd be
Well,
the
guess
famous
what? There's
catchphrase
still
for sure.
people outside of the White House right now, ironically, where they put a wall up, a fence. So he finally got his wall to keep him in the White House. But I mean, it's there. That wall's there. He's still in power. And we can't have that conversation because we know where they stand.
Right.
And that's shitty. So there will be no progress with that wall there. And
Yeah.
Oh, you mean that wall that's protecting him from like all races of people?
Right. And
Yeah.
the thing about that shit is like, I think that we as a country, us as individuals, and all of that shit, I mean, we know right from wrong. We know, very intelligent people when we see them. We know very stand up, so to speak, guys when we see them. And that narrative does not strike me as a stand up person's narrative. Oh, shit, I'm going to talk so much shit about what the military can do, and I'm going to hide in a bunker, and I'm going to fucking raise hell on the internet and try to get people to do violent shit towards each other. But the second that the news says something bad about what I misspoke or what I actually outright lied about, then I'm just a softie. You got to take it easy on me. Like,
yeah.
it's fucking insane.
And they get defensive too because they know exactly where they stand, but they think they can get away with it too. And it's just as soon as you call them out on it, it's just defense mode.
Exactly.
It's like it's whoa.
They like being it, but they don't like acknowledging it. They're like libertarians.
Yeah. And let me reiterate on something. My statistic thing that I said is just about talking about, white people should have a right to be an ally in this. And that wasn't me going for all lives matter or white lives matter too. That's not me saying that. Black lives matter. So when you look in the mirror or when you talk to your friends and you go up to them and you're like, you know what, Ross? Black lives matter. And if you get uncomfortable when someone says that to you or you see that, you probably need to reevaluate where you're coming from on this and your thought processes and ask yourself or maybe ask a friend like, why am I feeling this way? Why does everybody saying Black Lives Matter bother me? Because one of Chris's neighbors, I don't know if I told you this, but they told me one day when we were hanging out, it's when the BLM movement like started really happening. And they told me, they leaned in and they whispered, why do they say Black Lives Matter? I don't understand that. Shouldn't all lives matter? And I told them, I'm like, what in the statement Black Lives Matter, what part of that statement says that you don't matter? It's not to say that you don't matter. It's to say that they matter. And people need to understand that. Saying
Right.
Black Lives Matter does not mean everybody else does not matter.
Right.
It is just a statement saying that Black lives do matter.
But
and if it makes you uncomfortable or confused, you need to talk to someone about that to figure out where you're coming from because there's some underlying issue that you need to discuss and resolve so you can move on and not be part of that wall.
Like people think that, that across the board though, it's like if we admit that there is inequalities within this country, be it your upbringing, be it your skin color, be it your gender, or I guess lack thereof gender, or whatever. They think that it takes away from their accomplishment somehow, where it's like, oh, well, I mean, I accomplished the same thing that you did as a Black man. That means I had to do more work than more work than you did. And it means more to me because, you had it so easy. And I don't want that to be the narrative. I want it to be the narrative. I made it in spite of all of these things, and we still like the same things. We have all of this shit in common. Race should not matter across the board. You should be able to be an individual, and you should be able to feel comfortable doing whatever weird or cool shit that you like to do every day. But it just seems like everybody's like, oh man, if I admit that black people have it harder in America, that's also admitting that I had it easy. And it's like, that's not what this movement is saying.
Yeah, that's difficult for a lot of people to grasp too, because I think that circles back to that where we get defensive conversation is like when you say, "Oh, you're privileged. That's why where you are in life. That's why you're there. Is because you're privileged. That's how you got there." And saying that to someone, that's like, "Oh my God, like I didn't go to college, you know, I didn't work, you know, 2 part-time jobs to pay for college to make it through and get my job." Like that's also disingenuous to say, and we need to take a step back and, you know, try to have a conversation about that too.
For sure.
And that's why I like removing. Stop sighing during podcasts, Ross. God damn it! Bleep that, Ross. Cut that shit out.
I didn't sigh. I just breathed. What
No,
the fuck?
last podcast you did it twice.
No, I didn't even sigh there. I literally just laid back and like breathed, and that's what I did.
Okay, well you're breathing. You're
Stop it.
breathing very silently right now.
Stop accusing me of shit, man.
Right?
But we should have a conversation about that. And that's why I also like to strip color from the equation. And like Ross said earlier, it's class.
Yeah.
Like a poor white person has to pay for college and go to college and work, you know, work their asses off to get through college. You would think just like
if they even go.
if they even go.
Right.
But then the rich, you know, there's the rich white kid that gets to fail 3 semesters of college while partying, get on academic probation, but can still be floated through college like some hipster guy we know can be floated through college for 7 years without accomplishing anything. And
the thing
that's
that hits hard
the
with
privilege.
the thing that hits hard with that too is I don't see that as the end of privilege, and I know you don't either. It's the fact that that person that was skating through college and not working as hard and not working up to their full potential because of who mommy, daddy, uncle, and auntie know, they get a job quicker, so they're able to pay back those loans faster. And it's just a dynamic that if people really looked at the disparities between not only gender, race, this, that, and the third, but look at the inequalities between class, like that would really start people burning shit down and rioting and protesting and this, that, and the third. And I think with us having this conversation about race, hopefully it's one of those strings that if you keep tugging it, you eventually get to, you know, the disparity between classes.
Yep.
Well, now the conversations come full circle to the beginning where it's like, oh, now these businesses are going to start hiring minorities. It's like they could have all along.
Right.
Yep.
Chose not to, you know?
And I've literally seen YouTube videos of like podcasts and stuff where they bring on during this time, they bring on only black guests for like the talk shows on YouTube. For the podcast, they bring on their minority hire, maybe the only one that they have. And not that they were a minority hire, but they brought on a minority employee to share their thoughts and have a conversation with them, which is good, of course, but it's very fucking disingenuous and very hypocritical.
It's about as genuine as those Amazon commercials where they have like a minority employee on there being like, they're protecting us.
Right.
Yep. Yeah, absolutely.
Well,
they paid me $2,000 to say this.
Well, in the fact that like, that's why I said like the difference between it being genuine and it being just a fad is a sustainability element. If you are still going to be making sure that your HR department is looking at every single application and giving everybody an even start, or trying to figure out how to get everything as equal and equitable as possible, then that is something that I get excited about. Short-term hiring of people, I don't really, I mean, it's a start. I'm not going to discredit any of that stuff, but the sustainability is what I'm really focused on and what I think people should focus on as well.
Well, are they just doing it because it's what they want to do, or because they think that looking woke is going to be lucrative in the short term, you know? Like,
Or
That's the
protect
thing
their
right now.
businesses in the short term. Like, oh,
Yep.
I don't think they'll riot as much or loot as much from us if we try. And it's like, that's not what we're going after.
I mean, if you're already thinking in your head that they're attacking you because you don't hire enough black people, that's kind of the problem already.
Right. Correct. Correct.
And it's just such a shitty situation, even for companies. Like, I mean, just the fact being pressured into hire certain ethnicities, that's shitty. But also, like, when they're doing those Twitter things, Twitter blackouts, Black Lives Matter, it's very disingenuous. Like, I think I mean, of course, that's just my opinion, but it's just shitty. The whole situation is shitty, and companies are shitty
Well,
for
a lot of it's
capitalizing
like,
on
oh,
it.
look, we're going to do this blackout, which could cost us money.
Yeah.
So we care. It means we care.
Well,
Hey.
and then too, like, is that money going in? Where is that money coming from in your company? Is that coming from your marketing firm? Because that's what you're really trying to do at the end of the day, is draw more business in, because that's your
Yeah.
job as a business. So you're like, oh, well, I guess I'll just take this marketing money and put it into this blackout and come out even and have more people supporting us after the
Yep,
shit settles. And I'm
exactly.
like, fuck that. Like, I need to see, I'm not making any decisions right now. I'm going to make decisions 2, 3, and 5 years from now.
Yep.
Yeah, you don't see any of these companies coming out with like a 5-year plan on how they're going to be a better company or something like that.
Right.
It's all just like, we're going to do something right now and see what happens, see if it boosts our sales.
I forgot to mention Amazon too.
They're a
Ross, tweet
very
that?
big target, though. That's a very big target.
They're working on a monopoly right now, and it's scary. And they treat
Well,
their employees like shit.
when even Elon Musk calls out Amazon, that's pretty funny.
And Elon Musk is a piece of shit too. And
Exactly.
I mean, I don't like privatized space like just as much as anybody else. Privatized space is the worst fucking thing could happen to space travel. Sure, it goes faster, but then you just have the fucking rich that own space travel.
The only good part
Spacefaring.
about the only good part about right now is it's like a joint effort where NASA has the astronauts still and stuff like that. But if it ever gets to the point where they go out on their own, I'm gonna be like, oh no.
Yeah,
Like,
Yeah.
yeah, it will. They will eventually go out on their own. And Jeff Bezos with Blue Horizon or whatever the fuck he's got, like, they're working with NASA on something, but they didn't get the bid to send the astronauts up. So it's like, what the fuck is he planning? Is he training his own astronauts and stuff, or their own astronauts? It's the way the money is moving right now for Amazon is very fucking scary, and people should care, and people should focus on that in these businesses. But it's also funny when a business tweets something about this situation, and then they get looted anyway.
Yeah.
And that's gold to me. That's gold. I love it. I love it. But we're gonna be called hypocrites. That's fine. We've talked about race issues multiple times on the podcast. Thankfully, Chris is in the majority of our episodes, so he can't call us hypocrites for having him on just this one.
Just
And
silenced. And the thing is, too, and I also want to talk about, and this is a perfect caveat, I think, to go into the next subject that I wanted to bring out. And that subject is worthy causes to donate to at this time.
Are you going to actually name like specific ones or just tell people to donate?
Well, I'm just telling people to donate. I mean,
Okay.
if you have anyone that you'd like to specifically shout out, most definitely, but there's some dope shit that like I really wish we would have had this discussion years ago, because I would have really been putting towards that new that one that you put me on, Bryce. I was like, yo, that is actually very dope. And like the reason why, I guess, I've said this in episodes before, the reason why I praised, celebrities so much for helping protesters get out is because I had no fucking clue that me, with my
Could
fucking
help.
shirt covered in Cheeto dust and me just getting off of a 9 to 5, could do the same shit from my living room. Like, that is extremely empowering. So that shit is dope. I think people should really look out. And it's like, I mean, I'm not saying don't praise these celebrities because money is money. It's going to spin the same whether they were loud about it or quiet about it. But really start doing your research, and your dollar is more powerful than you think it is.
You know how you can't trust anything in this day and age? Kanye
Like
West is trying to
libertarian.
get some positive press right now.
Positive press?
He is killing it right now in the positive press.
Well, I had heard nothing about this, and now I'm triggered. What happened?
So he set up. I don't want to talk too much on it because it becomes about Kanye. But long story short, he set up college funds for George's daughter. He's donated tons of money to dope causes and shit like that. There was some information released that he was only wearing the MAGA hat because he was trying to get an innocent person out of jail. Like, it's just all of this information that blew up. And this is kind of like the perfect storm to happen for that shit to turn his image around. And we had the conversation of, we had the conversation of, can he rebrand again? And we were like, nope. And here he is doing it again.
We have to see the fallout for it, but I hope it's not successful.
Oh, it's gonna be 76, dude. Trust me.
As soon as he heard Joe Biden say, "If you vote for Trump, you're not black," he realized what he had done.
It's like, oh no, what have I done?
We didn't touch on that either, and we don't need to.
No.
I really did not. I had no plans to vote. Like, I was on the fence, but then like Ross like really swayed me about not voting for Biden.
Mm-hmm.
But now that this happened, like I have no fucking choice right now. It sucks. Like, there's no way I can risk a vote, like just to risk another 4 years of Trump. Like, that sucks.
I don't know. I don't know. It might bring around the change we need.
Expeditiously.
I'm just saying this like things will just keep like let's say Biden gets in. Okay? Things calm down and nothing gets done. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe we need to keep it going.
Well, we should. We have 6 months until like elections anyway, or something like that. So we should keep it going.
And I'm not saying
6 months.
To be fair, I'm not saying Biden getting in is going to change anything. Like, but you know what I'm saying.
I just can't have him stack the courts and shit anymore. Like, I just can't have him.
Oh, can I say that? Oh,
yes.
I don't know.
Hopefully they will be. And we could probably get in deep trouble for talking about rioting and being a proponent for this. And
what's crazy is the president fucking does it. Like, if you put me in jail, put his ass in jail too.
Exactly.
Yep. That will be my defense when he talks about shooting protesters. I'll be like, I was just talking about burning down rich people's houses.
Right.
Like,
no one was gonna get hurt.
They can leave their house. I can shout like, get out.
Wait,
get out.
Are you just threatening the property rights of rich people?
Molotov's coming. Get out.
To jail. Do not pass go.
Yeah, maybe.
Rich people.
It's like, oh my God, they're looters, and they're just like shaking their head, smiling no, with a bunch of gas cans to burn.
Yeah, I can't
stealing. I'm burning it down.
I'm not going to be a hypocrite or anything. If I go to Minneapolis this weekend, I will not be a media guru about it. I won't be promoting it. I won't probably. No one will need. I probably should tell no one about anything I do down there. Anything that may happen.
If it is legal, I want pictures. Like if it is legal, I want pictures. Not necessarily of what you're doing, but what it looks like down there. Because I had half of mine going down there, but. Side note to the podcast, we all know what I do every single day, and that is not a good mix right now.
Yep. Understandable. And that's a conversation to have too with the COVID stuff going on right now too. It's like,
yeah,
I want to do it. Of course, I want to show support. I definitely am not a hypocrite. I'm telling you right now.
I will tell you one thing.
If I was near that target, let me tell you.
And what?
I will tell you one thing. I swear, there's like a record number of people heading up north for the weekend. I'll tell you that.
Oh fuck yeah! I seen them.
Yeah, probably.
I mean, hear me out on this. So
we're talking about rioting.
Is hitting black communities harder than it is hitting white?
Because
everyone's out protesting. Was this a setup?
I gotta hear you out on that, and I didn't really look at that first.
That's a valid concern to try to balance the scales, because a lot of older people lean more conservative, and this would balance the scales of COVID and spread it a lot faster. We will see a huge spike in cases due to these protests and a huge spike in deaths, unfortunately.
Yep.
But again, of course, the people doing those protests are ultimately at fault, but there's also people in power that could take measures aside from shooting them to stop these protests too and see change and to save people's lives too.
Right.
So that's a double-edged sword. There's two parties to blame here, and one of them I can't blame. I mean, one of them I can.
Yep.
Even though it's like, it sucks, but that's...
Well, when you got Trump up there, like, we don't negotiate with terrorists or some shit.
It's like, you're a terrorist. Like, what do you mean?
We don't negotiate with Antifa, and then there's a white fucking hipster with a top knot with the Black Lives Matter sign, like,
being like, he's afraid. He's afraid.
Just like looking around, like, what the fuck? I'm Antifa now, and then you see me with my cell phone. They just told me I'm from Antifa.
It's like, come on.
I don't know what that is, but I'm part of Antifa now.
I am not. Bryce's like, I am not anti-Tifa. I love her.
I'm not anti-Tifa.
I love Queen Latifah.
Yeah, I love Queen Latifah.
I mean, they make arms deals with Saudi Arabia all the time, and Saudi Arabia did 9/11. So I mean, they do.
Boom.
I mean,
oh, no pun intended.
What did you say?
Well, I mean, the Saudi royal family probably like funded 9/11, right?
When the prince isn't playing Dota 2, he's doing 9/11. So.
Oh my god. That's true. Yeah, I heard he was playing Dota 2. I just want everybody to know that I do like the movie Last Holiday.
Yes.
Which one is that?
That's the Queen Latifah one.
Oh, okay.
Was it Common in that movie too?
LL Cool J was.
LL Cool J. She was in a different movie with Common, I think.
Probably.
Oh, yeah, I can't place that. I know Cool J was in that one. Shit, I wonder what one she was in with. Oh, Just Right.
What?
The movie Just Right.
Okay.
That has Common in it. I'm looking right now. Basketball superstar Scott McKnight.
Yeah.
Common. Yeah.
Yep.
I just wanted everybody to know that, like, Last Holiday. What were we talking about? We're talking about racial issues and then a prince playing League of Legends.
Yes.
Dota 2.
Playing Dota 2.
We can't say League of Legends, they might sue us. No, I'm just kidding.
That shit is funny.
Fuck League. Fuck their money and their Chinese money. Fuck them.
They're too busy farting on their employees to care about suing anybody.
Yeah. Fuck Blizzard. and their fucking 10-cent money or fucking the other one.
Hey, Bryce, you watched any of the Space Force show yet?
I haven't. Is it good?
We watched the
You
first.
started without me.
We
Wow.
watched the first episode just to see how it was, and I actually thought it wasn't too bad.
Wow, dude. Wow, that's fucked up.
You can still rewatch it.
Okay.
It's one episode, man.
Yeah, that's true. How long are the episodes? Half hour?
I don't know. It felt pretty long.
Fuck, they might be 50-minuters.
Could be.
I still gotta finish the goddamn boys.
Oh,
yeah,
that's
you
right.
do. Yeah, you do. How are you gonna do that? Like, didn't you finish that already? I thought you finished it.
No, because remember, like, you were here. We had that temporary fucking thing where I was like, yo, I told you I couldn't sign in. Then I finally signed in, and then it charged me for it. And then as soon as I canceled the membership, like, it just immediately cut it off.
What? It didn't give you the rest of the month? Or did it
No.
refund you?
I think it might have did a prorated refund.
Oh, okay. That's why. Then that's why I cut you off.
Yeah.
You got to like episode 4, I think,
Yeah.
or something. Oh, that show's so good.
Isn't there only like 8 episodes? I think.
Yeah, it's. Oh, I can't wait for season 2. Like, it sucks because I'm gonna have to pirate that because I can't give Amazon money. But damn,
Yeah.
damn, dude. No, I probably will. I probably will get it just to watch Boys 2 because, I want them to be, them to.
Be successful.
No, fuck that. They got money from everything else. Fuck that. They're funded.
Well, if Amazon cuts them, Netflix can just pick them up, right?
Yeah,
That'd be dope.
absolutely. Yeah, I haven't had too many issues with Netflix. Let me see if they did a blackout on Twitter.
I think they did. They did.
Netflix, canceled. I'm done with them.
They were one of the first ones I saw, actually.
Yeah,
that released a
I actually posted
statement.
that shit on Facebook.
I googled Netflix blackout, and the first thing that popped up was the help, and it says I'm getting a black screen with sound.
Yo, I finally.
That would have been funny if they did that.
Truth time. I get triggered when I watch racist stuff. Okay, so I was just dating my wife, and for those of you who don't know, my wife is not a person of color. I was just dating my wife, and I went to sleep watching Gangland on TV, and they were talking about biker gangs, and then it comes to the Hells Angels and their connection with the Ku Klux Klan and shit like that.
Yeah.
So I woke up just fucking raging about shit, and I'm just pissed off and have no idea why. So I go back on the TV and rewind back to what was playing while I was sleeping, and I figured out I get triggered off of racial shit. Fast forward
subliminally in your mind while you're sleeping.
Right? Just fucking raging. So fast forward to today, I finally decided to watch the movie Django. Bruh. I'm not
You
even
haven't seen
halfway
that?
through that. This was a good time to watch that.
You haven't seen Django yet?
No, I get too triggered with that shit. I be trying to steer
Oh.
clear of that shit.
Yeah, that movie's really good.
I'm like, yo,
Fucked
this is
up,
like
but good.
it's like Inglorious Bastards for black people. Like,
Yep.
Oh Jesus.
so good.
Yep. That's Quentin Tarantino doing a good job.
I knew it was
It's a remake.
Tarantino because of the gratuitous use of the N-word. Just the hard R.
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, this is definitely Tarantino.
And then what the fuck? There's a funny conversation that Leonardo DiCaprio and Samuel L. Jackson had.
Mm.
It's like, because Leo like came up to him, and he's like, I'm worried about saying it. Like, and of course Samuel L. Jackson's like I hear it every day. I don't give a fuck. Like, he says something like that. Like, just fucking say it. Like, it's your job. Like, just fucking do it. Shit like that.
Yeah.
And of course, probably every interview Samuel L. Jackson's in where they talk about Quentin Tarantino, they have to ask, like, what do you think about when he said that word in Pulp Fiction? It's like, God damn, shut up. Like, but
What did you think?
oh, I fucking loved it, dude.
Man.
June 2020, Bryce fucking loved it. Love it when white people say it.
God damn it.
Fucking love
Okay, Kid Rock, calm the fuck down.
Right.
it.
Oh man.
Fucking love it, dude. So now that our hypocrite portion is done of the podcast, do we have any other news, or do you guys want to call it?
I don't remember if there was anything that was newsworthy.
Oh my
Nope.
god, I didn't even send out a list because it was just so.
Well, there was a lot of stuff that was kind of centered around the conversation that we already had. Like,
Yeah.
there was the Drew Brees thing. There was
Yep.
tons of shit that happened too that was kind of along the same notes. And it's like, I just want our listener to keep in mind that when they are ingesting things, not necessarily just eating, but like reading, seeing shit, like try to hear people out. Unless it is Candace Owens, fuck her backwards with a Ford truck.
Oh, yep.
What'd she do?
I heard about that.
I didn't hear about it.
She just went on a rant talking about how terrible George Floyd was, and you know, we as a Black community are the only community that praises our worst, and it was just fucking terrible.
Pretty much just devalued the guy's life and then tried to defend herself.
An American conservative commentator and political activist. God, and she's Black. I wonder how much they pay her.
Well, and it's like,
that's what I always say, but I feel bad sometimes when I say it.
Nah, everybody has free thought, of course.
Well, it's like there was a particular video that kind of hit the nail on the head on why she is the way that she is, and I think the narrative in that was spot on. I have to send it to you. It was by
Is it the Hitler one?
No, it's Ryan Davis.
Oh, there's the one time she said that the only thing that Hitler did wrong was like going outside of Germany with what he did.
I'm like, that is.
She straight up said that in like a speech she gave.
Yeah, I just don't know what place she's in. I mean, we used to like to throw the term around sunken place, but holy Christ, like I have no idea where her headspace is.
Oh, she's married to George Farmer, a white politician. I'm assuming conservative.
What I don't think.
Oh,
he really
he's got Proud Boys written all over him. There's a picture of the two, and she's wearing a fucking "Make America Great Again" hat.
Well, no shit.
She doesn't even get paid, dude. She got he. I was gonna say he. Ross, bleep that.
Bryce, you download the audio and tell me where I have to bleep this shit because I'm getting pissed off now.
Oh no, that's the one. That's the non-funny bleep. That's the one that should be bleeped.
Kanye's the Kanye. That's the question.
Right.
Yeah, I don't know what the fuck is going on here.
Money,
Yeah,
honestly,
it's crazy. I'll have to send you the video. It's long, but I think you should listen to both videos, and then we should have a dialogue about both.
Oh yeah, I heard I like caught walking downstairs. I caught some of the news or whatever, and they were like bringing up like George Floyd's rap sheet or something, and they were talking about something from like a long time ago. And then like of course like focus. It was like Fox News. They focused like on the intoxication. Didn't he test positive for COVID?
Like the beginning of April.
Oh, the beginning of April. Okay,
it was like a long time ago.
Okay, because I was waiting for him to say it. That's gonna be in the fucking defense.
They did still try.
I know it's in.
They did still try to say that he could have had like complications from it or something.
Oh, that infuriates me because that's a defense that they can use.
Even though he was asymptomatic or whatever when he had it.
I don't want that. I don't want that defense. I don't want that. That dude needs to go to prison.
Do you think that he's gonna have his day in court? The word has it, Lil Buddy's on suicide watch right now in one of the roughest prisons.
Is it the one that they had Epstein
Justice
in?
is poetic and a bitch, so
yeah,
Oh, dude, what if he hung himself though?
That'd be crazy.
That would be crazy.
What if like they
That's
can't
a poetic shit.
like, but like
Oh god, Ross, cut the last 5.
God damn
Me doing one was okay with me doing it, but Alex, come on, man.
it would be justice would be met.
Justice would be poetic.
Holy
I did. Speaking of color, Sega is releasing 4 different colored Sega Game Gear Micros.
What?
Yeah, they each have like, don't they each have
Yeah.
like 4 games in them or something?
Yeah, they each are preloaded with 4 games. They're about $50. There's black, blue, yellow, red, and they're micro, and they are currently being released in Japan, but there's an unknown Western release. And to put this into perspective, the Game Boy Micro, if anybody remembers that little fucking Game Boy that they made that kind of failed, that's really expensive right now. It has a 2-inch screen. The Sega Game Gear Micro has a 1.15-inch screen.
Did you
And
hear
to put that into perspective, Ross, go ahead and whip your dick out and see how small that is.
Okay. Well, I was gonna say I thought I saw something that said they were gonna have like a magnifier thing you could buy or something.
Yeah. Yeah, if you buy the set of 4, sorry, Ross, you're just the first person that I said on the list of people.
God, I could have like 2 or 3 of those, and
You gotta buy them all like Pokemon, and my favorite one is Mewtwo.
Shut up. You gotta buy the set of 4, and they will give you the little tiny magnifier for free, which is a thing that attaches to it that increases the size. Like I have one for my Game Gear.
Doctors hate him.
Yeah, it's just like a magnifying glass that goes over the screen to make it look bigger.
Yep.
But can you imagine that 1.15-inch screen? That's insane. And it fits in the palm of your hand too. It is so tiny. Let me see if I can find a
I just
picture.
don't get like the appeal of it. I'm kind of confused.
For my handheld collection, unfortunately, I probably need all 4, which is shitty.
Yeah.
But thankfully, they're only $50, and that's not because like right now, like on eBay, they're like pre-ordering from like Japanese sellers for like 80 to 100 a piece.
Jeez.
Or like 70 to 100 a piece. And they come preloaded with 4 fucking games only. But they're like, they're gold like games. Let me see if I can find a picture.
Can you download more games to this shit, or how does that work, or do we know?
We do not know the specs or anything yet, but odds are that they will be able to make some sort of crack out of it.
Maybe.
Nice.
To make it where you can download shit. Here they are, all 4 of them. If it loads.
I have to say I don't see nothing. Oh, there they are.
There it is. That's their size. And yeah, that's how big they are.
He's posting pictures of gigantic dicks in the...
Yeah, how do you know those people don't just have gigantic hands?
That person, I think, has a tiny hand because that's supposed to be a 1.15-inch screen, and that seems kind of small for that hand. Maybe 1 inch is bigger than I thought it was.
That's what she said.
Oh yeah, dick jokes all around.
Just trying to big himself up or something.
Yeah, Chris, what do you think? You didn't give your opinion.
Bruh, I have not seen this yet.
Oh, it's a Discord. You got to go to the podcast text.
Okay.
Channel. Watch him click on it.
What?
Yeah. Okay. There, he sees it. Yeah, that's what they are.
For $50
a piece. Yeah, with
that
4 preloaded games.
It's like a keychain game.
It is tiny. Yeah, they look fucking awesome to me. I love Game Gear.
You remember when we were younger, like the little video games that you put like 2 batteries in the back of, and it only had the one game?
Yeah, where you could get them at a Target for like $10 or something, or was it 20? Like
Yeah,
the little fake Game Boys that had one preloaded game that
for
had like
sure.
Game and Watch quality on it. Yeah, I remember those.
Yeah,
You mean
that's
like
what that reminds me
football?
of.
Yeah, shit like that.
Or Shinobi. I think I had a Shinobi one.
Yeah,
Oh,
but this has full Shining. This has the full Game Gear games on it though for the 4 of them. You know, the
That's fucking sweet.
Sonics, the Shining Forces. Like the yellow one has like 3 Shining Force games on them.
What was your opinion on them putting Sonics on 2 different ones?
I
You
mean,
gotta buy them all.
Sega is Sonic is Sega, Sega is Sonic. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Let me check the list. So the black model comes with Sonic the Hedgehog, Puyo Puyo 2, Outrun, and Royal Stone. So not really games that I'm familiar with except for Sonic. The blue one comes with Sonic Chaos, Gunstar Heroes, Sylvan Tale, and Baku Baku Animal. Those are, more I've heard of. The yellow one comes with Shining Force Gaiden, Shining Force is sort of Haija or whatever, and Shining Force Gaiden Final Conflict, and a Japanese name I can't pronounce. Red one comes with Revelations, the Demon Slayer, Megami Tensei Gaiden, and the GG Shinobi, and Columns. So Columns was like, we talked about this. It's like one of the earlier Candy Crush games. That was on the Game Gear. It was like their version of Tetris.
What would you do if the American release had different games?
That would be insane if they like Altered
buy,
Beast, Streets of Rage 2 and shit.
Exactly.
Like, oh god.
Exactly.
Oh no, I'm thinking of Genesis. My
But
bad.
I mean like more popular ones that were like in America.
For America. I got you. Yeah. It's possible. Unfortunately, there's not a lot of good games for the Game Gear, unfortunately, and that's part of why it failed.
Yeah.
But I love that system. Sega was just ahead of its time on pretty much fucking every console that they've made.
Well, yeah, they had blast processing when Nintendo didn't have shit, dude.
Yep. But then Pokemon came out and just dominated everything. But that was the news that I had randomly because your racist cousin told me about it at night before I went to bed.
I saw it, but I didn't even know if I wanted to bring it up because I was like, eh.
Oh, I'm fucking
1.15-inch screen, dude.
Yeah, you put 3 of them together, and it's bigger than Ross's dick.
I believe that's the joke I made like 5 minutes ago. But
oh, you did?
Yeah.
Okay. Ross, bleep that. Well, 3 of them is giving you too much credit. Are we talking horizontal or vertically stacked here?
Well, if you look at it, the screen's 1.1, but like if you look at it on each side of it, there's probably another 1.1. So each one of those is like 3 inches.
Oh my god, no! I take all that back. I'm talking about like the depth. The depth of 3 stacked. That's like probably
okay.
2 and 3/4.
I was talking about a 9er, man.
Just cut it. Just cut the last 20 minutes. I can't be having my jokes fall flat on here. I gotta do my stand-up comedy, where I tell a long, convoluted joke just to be able to say the N-word in front of a group of white people. I mean that's June 2020, Bryce. That's June. Okay, July might be different.
I mean, if I'm doing a Dave Chappelle impression, I could say it, right? Because I'm pretending to be him, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And you can dress like him for Halloween too. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah.
Yeah, we are canceled for sure.
Yeah, we are cutting at least the last 5 or so minutes.
Ross has just got to cut that one thing for sure that I said. Well, I can't even remember what it is, but when you listen to the entire podcast again, Ross, you will find it.
Yeah, I've had
There's
to do
like
that
a
lately,
minute
and it's annoying.
stretch there where like just scrub that whole minute there.
Yeah.
Yeah, probably. Well,
God.
at your discretion.
Dang you guys.
And then of course throw in the couple joke ones.
Yes.
Like this, like, man, all minorities are, and then you put a bleep there. And And then we cut back to Chris laughing, and now Chris is racist.
Right? It's like
We-
the inception of racism.
We make our own narratives. It's like going on a forum and saying like the greatest thing, like the most heartwarming thing ever, and everybody's like, "Oh my god, that is such a beautiful thing to say," and then you change it to the most racist shit, and then they're like, then they don't notice, and then they're racist, and it's like, wait, what? Did you just dupe me?
That shit is funny.
Anyway, Ross, cut this episode. We will catch you next time.
Late.
See you.
Hey everyone, hope you enjoyed the episode. You can catch us currently at the Prime 4 podcast on iTunes, Spotify, SoundCloud, and Podcast Addict for audio only. If you want to see how fugly we look in real life, you can also catch us on YouTube under the Prime 4 podcast.